This is Clayton from Sprinkler Master. Today we'll be going over wiring in a sprinkler system. This includes the purpose, parts used, pros and cons, common problems, diagnosis of problems, installation and repair, and tips and tricks related to wiring. Its purpose. The purpose of the sprinkler wire is to deliver electricity from the timer to the automatic valves, allowing the valves to open. Every valve has a solenoid with two wires, one common wire and one zone wire. The common wire is usually white, but can be any color as long as it's hooked up to the common slot in the sprinkler timer. The common wire must be connected to every zone, similar to a ground with DC power. The zone wire is any wire hooked up to a specific zone, and zone wires are usually different colors. The two wires are connected to either end of the solenoid wiring, but never connected together. The two wires are run underground to the sprinkler timer, and the sprinkler timer has a common connection, and then usually between 4 and 16 zone connections, with possibly more. Each zone wire is hooked up to a separate zone slot on the sprinkler timer, and if two zone wires are connected together at any point, they will both turn on at the same time. If a common wire is connected to a zone, the sprinkler timer will show a fault error. Names of parts. Sprinkler wire is usually one wire bundle with many strands of smaller 18-gauge wire inside it. Wire strands usually come in 3 to 8 wires but can go up to 12 or more. You will always need one extra wire in the bundle than the number of valves. For example, if you have 4 valves, you will need a minimum of 5 strands of wire, with the 5th wire being the common wire. When running new wire, try to have more than the minimum. If wires break, it makes it easier to fix or add zones with extra wire. Wire nuts are used to connect the solenoid and the wire from the timer. Sprinkler nodes are small battery-powered sprinkler timers that fit in the valve box. Wire strippers are used to cut and strip the wire coating off. Wire testers test the solenoid or test if a wire is broken. The cheapest way is to get 3 9-volt batteries and put them together and use that. They also make a tool that sends out a signal and a pulse to turn on valves, and can help find broken wires too. Multimeters test the voltage and resistance to tell if you have power. Volts have to be between 24 and 28. You can also use this tool to check for resistance. Usually there needs to be between 20 and 60 ohms to know that the solenoid and wire are both good. Pros and cons. Wires can be run very long distances, but are easily cut by shovels or objects. It's hard to determine where they are broken since they are run underground. They can become very brittle, burnt, or exposed over time. The wires are very skinny at 18 gauge, making them very prone to breaks. They do allow you to have a sprinkler timer run the sprinkler zones, making it easier to water your lawn. Common problems. One of the most common problems in every sprinkler system is a valve not turning on, and most often that is caused by electrical problems. There can only be 3 sources to an electrical problem: a bad wire, timer, or solenoid. Use deductive logic to find the problem sources. How to diagnose. You can start diagnosing either the timer or the solenoid. Your best tool for diagnosing is the multimeter. When using the multimeter to test a sprinkler system, the red probe will be for the valve wire, while the black wire is for the common wire. The center knob is turned to the correct setting, and the probes are connected. Testing the timer. Connect the probes to the common wire and to the problem valve at the timer as shown, and on the multimeter, select VAC. If it reads close to 24 volts, then the timer is giving the right amount of power and is functional. Testing the wires and solenoid. To ensure electricity is traveling between the timer and the solenoid, leave the multimeter connected the way that it was and select the omega sign, which stands for resistance. If the reading is between 20 and 60, there is power traveling back and forth from the timer. If the reading is below 5, there is either a wire damaged or connected in the wrong place and it's shorting out. If the reading shows blank, there is a disconnect in the system, maybe a broken wire or a disconnect at the valve. The easiest way to test the solenoid is to connect 3 9-volt batteries directly at the solenoid and see if it clicks. If it does, it works. If it doesn't, it will need to be replaced. To test the wires from the solenoid, put the prongs on their proper wires and turn on the zone at the timer. Turn the multimeter to VAC. If power comes through, the wires are good. How to install or repair. For a bad wire, you can rent special tools to try and locate a broken wire. These tools send a pulse signal, but they don't always work. Another option for fixing a broken wire is replacing the wire from the timer to the valve box. This is the best option, but also the most expensive in most cases due to labor. The next option would be to use an extra wire if there is an extra in the strand. If the system has enough pressure, you can occasionally connect 2 zones to 1 zone wire. One of the more expensive options is called a sprinkler node. These are sprinkler timers that are usually installed in a valve box and are battery powered. You have to change all of the solenoids to DC power solenoids, so this is a costly option. Do not assume a wire is broken until you have checked both the timer and the solenoid and verified for certain that they are not the issue. Remember that wires can switch underground, meaning the timer and the solenoid wire may be different colors. If there is a break in the wire, check all the connections in all the valve boxes. Wires can be run through multiple boxes. If all the connections are good, then you can look for recent dig sites or wire that is above ground. These are the kinds of places that are most likely to have a broken wire. Tips and tricks. Always use grease wire nuts. They cost a lot more, but if you use regular wire nuts, the wires will corrode and break. The grease will help prevent corrosion. On wires, they may change from color to color or from box to box. The color of the wire that attaches to the timer may differ from the color of wire connected to the valve. Therefore, it's a good idea to use color-coded electrical tape to help you identify them and troubleshoot faster. Conclusion. The main wiring of a sprinkler system must be installed correctly and kept in good repair in order for the rest of the system to function. Troubleshooting issues related to wiring comes down to finding out if the solenoid, wiring, or the sprinkler timer is the issue.